Yo, 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 what's up? This Tom from Judge Innovation Grudge in the Peach Capital of the state, baby. What's up, Yancey? Ain't gonna be on here long. What's up, Johnny? What's up, Henry? Hope everybody's doing well. Give a little update. It's been going on. Like I say, ain't gonna be on here long. Yeah, I hadn't been live for a minute. I was finished cleaning up the shop and I said, let me jump on here and go live for a little bit. Tap in with everybody, see how everybody's doing. Give everybody, I didn't even know the day was Wednesday. I thought the day was Tuesday. Thought the day was Tuesday. Wednesday. Give a little update on some stuff and then go from there. I know one thing, it was it got 80 about 85 degrees today, so that was good. But I think there's a cold front coming in tomorrow, which will be fine. I got what I needed to get done yesterday and today. We'll let a few people get in and then we'll start going. Yeah, it coming through South Louisiana right now. What's up? What's up from the Ukraine? Coming through Southwest Louisiana. I know they had some tornadoes out west. I know Mac Metal Art Custom. I know he had tornadoes today. Like I said, lot of stuff's been going on. And I was gonna go live. But there was just so many moving parts. I just couldn't. I couldn't go live and maintain what I needed to maintain. So about 45 seconds, I'm gonna get into it. We're gonna wait to the 5-minute mark. Let everybody tap in, see what we got going on, talk about some things. Yeah, that's right, Gary. Hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I know me not going live has jacked up the daggone algorithm. I know it has, and it just messed up a lot of stuff, which it's okay. It's fine. I was posting shorts and posting in the community post to keep the algorithm going. But I know I dropped a couple short videos too, just to keep the momentum going. But I know the lives is where I get a lot of my foot traffic. And I just hadn't been going live because there's just a lot of moving parts going on. All right, so we're at the 5 minute mark. So I appreciate everybody tapping in. Today's Wednesday. I think today is the 19th. I think today is the 11th, March 11th. I think today. Yeah, actually, Gary, there were some people asking about you in the last live. They said, "Has anybody seen Gary?" And I said, he actually commented on one of my videos the other day, but we know you started a new job, so we figured you was getting settled with that. Um, so let me let you know what yeah, everybody was asking about you, Gary. The last live I was doing, I don't even know which one it was. The last live, there was people asking about you. What's up, Roger? They were saying, "Hey, has anybody seen Gary?" And I said he actually commented on one of my posts, said he didn't have no internet, and plus we know you started a new job. So how'd that work? How's that going? If you can share. If you can't, we understand. Um, so let's talk a little bit about some stuff. So I have sprayed uh um I have sprayed the H&R. So the H&R, we're going to talk about the Scorpion undercoating, protective coating, and then I'm going to show you what I got going on. So first thing we sprayed was the Tempco. Hey, if you're new to the channel, Tyler Nelson 7140, hit that subscribe button, boys and girls. I appreciate it. So we sprayed the HP 662, which is a 2K epoxy from Tamco. It mixes 1-to-1. The only thing that does is just lock down the substrate, and it protects it. It locks it down, chemicals, salt, rust, everything. So everything inside this 61 Ford box truck is aluminum. So sprayed down the HP 662, which is black, sprayed it. It mixes 1-to-1. I sprayed it with the Luma Shadow, the 1.5 tip. Sprayed everything in black. So once everything was laid down, now the 662 is not a high build. It's just a lock. It's just to lock it down. That's all it is. It's not a high build. If you're going to use a high build, you need to use the 700 series on top of the 662 or the 660 series. 662 is black. Then you got 661, which is white, and then 663, I think, is gray. But the 660 series is just to lock it down. So once you spray the HP 662 down, you have to let it lay for 18 hours. You have to let it lay for 18 hours. That means you can't do anything to it. You can't put nothing on it. You can't do anything for 18 hours. So I left the box fan on it, blowing airflow over it. It hadn't been getting cold in the evenings, so that was good. It didn't drop below 65 degrees, so that's good. Isocyanate stopped working after about 58, 62 degrees. Isocyanate stopped working. So I've been chasing the weather, right? So once the 662 is down, what's up, Mike? Once the 662 is down, you have to wait 18 hours. So it's not an induction time, but you have to wait 18 hours for it to do what it needs to do. After 18 hours, you have 14 days. So you have 14 days to get back on it, to top coat it, to do whatever you want it to without sanding it. If you go over the 14-day mark, you have to lightly scuff it, and then you have to go from there. So if you don't want to make more work for you, try not to go over the flash times. I would never run anything out 14 days. That's just crazy. But that's the way it works. So spray the 662 down, let that lay out. Once that laid out, then I mixed up the H&R. The H&R is heat noise reduction. And that stuff is thick as a daggone Wendy's Frosty, sticking out the window, holding it upside down. Ain't that what you said, Mike? Mike said a Dairy Queen. Mike said that's like when they give you those Frosties at Dairy Queen and hang them upside down out the window. That stuff was thick. So with that being said, I sprayed that with the Shadow 2.0 tip. Now, if I had a 2.5, I would have sprayed it with a 2.5, but it sprayed it. I run about 32 psi worth of pressure, and I run it at full throttle. Right? I run it at full throttle. Full throttle. So So with that being said, once you get the H&R down, the H&R is a ceramic base product that has the ceramic heat and noise inhibitors in it. So I put 2.5 gallons. So 1 gallon covers 50 square. So if you figure the driver's side and the passenger side, that's 50 and 50. So that's 2 gallons. And then up around the top, I sprayed about a half a gallon. So I sprayed about 2.5 gallons of H&R. Okay. Once you spray the H&R down, you have to let that joker set for 18 hours. I told y'all wrong. The 662 is 12 hours. So after you spray the HP 662, you have to let it set for 12 hours, no more than 14 days. Then you can top coat it. Now, the H&R, the heat, noise, and reducer from Scorpion, you have 18 hours. So once you spray the H&R down and you let it dry, cure out. So I left a fan on it, blowing air across it, 18 hours. After 18 hours of it setting still, you have 36 hours max. So take 18 from 36. That's how many hours you have left to do whatever you're going to do. If you don't do it within 36 hours, you have to sand it all over again. You have to scuff every bit of it. So make sure you plan ahead. Make sure you don't run out of product. Make sure you got everything in ducks in a row. Make sure everything's where it needs to be so you don't make more work for yourself, right? So after the 18 hours, then you go in there and you check it. You make sure it's good and dry. You make sure it don't fingerprint. You make sure it don't nail bed. When I'm saying nail bed, you don't go in there and stick your finger on it and you make an imprint. You just check it. Then you mix up some AP. AP is adhesive promoter. Now, they'll send some adhesive AP when you get the H&R kit, but it's not enough. So Tampco sells some top dog adhesive promoter. I don't know the number off the top of my head. It's called Top Dog adhesive promoter. I think it's 2110 or something like that. It's the 2000 numbers or something like that. So with that being said, you spray a light coat. Are you saying you need to top coat? No, you don't have to top coat it. You can leave it. You can leave it. Oh, that's what the AP was. Yeah, AP is adhesive promoter. So after the H&R is laid down 18 hours, 36 max. So 18 hours minimum, 36 hours max. Go back in there. You spray a light coat, a light mist coat of AP over the H&R. What's up, Todd? You spray AP over the H&R. You let that flash off for about 10 or 15 minutes. And once that happens, then you mix up the XO2 system. The XO2 system is a 3-part system bedliner kit from Scorpion Protective Coatings. Now, the XO2 system is basically compatible with Line-X. Now you see why I didn't go live, because there was a lot of moving parts, and I had to stay on point. I had to stay on time frame, and I couldn't have no distractions. So once you get the XO2 system, you have to get, if you're going to use it black, they have a black toner that comes with it. If you're going to do it color match, you have to get color from your paint representative, and it has to be paint with no binder, no thinner, and no reducer. No reducer, no binder, and no thinners. Can't have any of that stuff in it. So you basically just need toner, all right? So they claim 8 to 10 ounces per color per gallon. Well, I know, can I call the color H&R? Yeah, H&R. You can call it H&R. So I know from spraying Quartz, Raptor, Sims, all the other companies, Bedliner, it calls for 8 ounces of color when you're using tintable. The tint, the Bedliner kit is white. So if you put 8 ounces of red, you know, if you mix red and white together, you get like a pink. If you mix white and blue, you get light pink. If you mix black and white, you get gray. So if you didn't pay attention in color class, then you're not gonna be able to understand what's going on. So if you take raw color that's made and you mix it, and you take 8 ounces of color and mix it in 128 ounces of white, you're going to dilute your color and it's not going to match. Right? So I know from spraying Quartz, Raptor, and Sims, it's 8 ounces of color per liter. It don't work. 12 ounces of color per liter makes it match. Sometimes it still doesn't match 100%, and you still have to go back over it and top coat it. So you might as well go ahead and order 32 ounces of color at least, not reduced, with no binder and no thinners. That's the same thing with Quartz, the same thing with Raptor, the same thing with Sims, same thing with Rocket, whatever. They're all the same. It's all the same damn product. It comes off the same damn assembly line. One goes that way and gets a label. One goes that way and gets a label. It's the same damn shit. Okay. It ain't like somebody went to Mars and got some new chemicals and they reinvented the wheel. The wheel is still round. I don't care how you look at it. No, not 32 ounces. No, get 32 ounces. You're going to need 32 ounces of color. Can I color the NR? No, you cannot color the H&R. No, I misunderstood you, Mike. No, you cannot color it. Now you can put top coat over it, but you can't put color in it. Not solvent, but not urethane or poly. No, you can't pour paint in it. I asked that question. No, you cannot tint it, but you can top coat it after the fact. So you could spray the H&R down, let it flash off. Then you could spray AP over it. Then you could put color over it. You could do it that way. So back to the Bedliner stuff. So I say get 32 ounces of color. Once you get 32 ounces of color, now put 12 ounces of color per gallon. So you got 12, 12, right? And you got a little bit left over because you got a 2.5 gallon kit, right? So you got like 1.25 gallons and 1.25 gallons. So that makes 2.5 gallons. So you put 12 ounces of color in this one, 12 ounces of color in that one. That's 24 ounces, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That leaves you 8 ounces of color with no binder, no thinners, and no reducer over here. Extra, right? Extra. Now, if you wanted to split it and put 16 and 16, I don't see there's going to be a problem in it because I sprayed it today and you could put 16 ounces. There's enough room in the jug. You can put 16 ounces of color to the 1.25 gallons and 16 ounces to 1.25 gallons, and you can mix it up. So with that being said, yeah, the H&R is water based. So when let me pause on the XO2 and let's go back to H&R. The H&R is water-based. So when I sprayed 2.5 gallons of H&R in that box truck, I had to do it 19 times. And you're probably saying, what are you talking about 19 times? I used the hard cup on the Luma gun. The hard cup only holds 500 milliliters. So if you figure up how many milliliters is per gallon, multiply that times 2, then divide that by 500, I had to pour from the H&R to the hard cup 19 times. So I poured the H&R into the cup, went in there and sprayed it, come out, took the gun apart, went to the bathroom, washed it all out in hot water, hot soapy water, cleaned the gun out really, really good, put it all back together, poured another 500 milliliters. So I took the gun apart 19 times and washed it, and I filled it up 19 times. In between coats, I waited 20 to 30 minutes in between coats. So take 30 minutes times 19. That's how many hours I had to wait yesterday in between flash times to spray 2.5 gallons of H&R inside that box truck. So with that being said, after the H&R was sprayed, then we wait 18 hours. Then we top coat it with AP, adhesive promoter. Now we back to the XO2 system, right? H&R is just one part. Yeah, it's just one part. There's no hardener. There's no nothing in it. It's just pour it right out of the can. So with that being said, now, if you had a airless sprayer that held more product that could spray thicker materials, then you wouldn't have to do what I had to do, and you could have just used the airless sprayer instead of using a HVO spray gun with a 2.0 or a 2.5 tip. You could have just used like a Harbor Freight airless sprayer and filled up the whole thing and let it rock. But you would have still had to let it flash in between coats at least 20 or 30 minutes in between coats so it wouldn't run, so you wouldn't have no issues, right? So now, I know it's a lot of information and a lot of people don't give a shit about it, but I told you I would share it with you. And since it's fresh on my mind, we're going to put it on the channel and we're going to let everybody hear it. So with the XO2 system, you have a part A, a part B, and a part C. The part A is a polyprimer resin. Part B is the black, looks like daggone black juice. And then you have the C, which looks like milk, right? Looks like watered down milk. Then you have to take your color. All right, so let me tell you what I did. I talked to Corey before. And we talked about mixing. So me and Corey talked again today after all this and kind of figured out where we were, kind of figured out terminology between two different people. And I say this so you can understand. The end result was 9. Okay, everybody wanted to get to 9. That's where we wanted to get to. But there's different ways to get to 9, right? You got 10 minus 1, 8 plus 1, 6 plus 3, 5 plus 4. Everything equals 9. You just have to follow the basic orders of operation to get there. So when I was explaining something to Corey, he's explaining something back to me. The way he's explaining it to me is different the way I'm explaining it to you. I was explaining it to him, but the end result was 9. So me and him had to figure out our terminology between each other so we could come to a common agreement on I'm on the right page and he's on the right page. We're just explaining it different. And I'm going to get there in a second what that means. So just hang tight. So I poured 12 ounces of color straight into the poly resin. And when I dumped the color in there, it literally dumped in there and stayed in a ball in the middle, and the resin's on the outside. It literally looked like you poured oil into water is what it looked like. Or if you poured lacquered paint into solvent-based paint, that's what it looked like. I was like, "Oh, crap." So there was a lot of stuff going through my head, like, did they send me my toner with no binder, no thinner, and no solvents like they supposed to? Or did they leave the thinner in it or the solvents in it and it's reacting? So I took the paddle bit and I mixed it up. You seen my shorts today, my short videos. It was stringy. It looked like melted mozzarella cheese is what it looked like. Right? I made a video of it. I'm transparent. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I don't mislead anybody. I tell it like it is. Like I told Corey on the phone today, I'm not lying from nobody. I'm not sugarcoating nothing. If I made a mistake, I'm going to say I made a mistake. If something's wrong, something's wrong, but we need to figure out what's wrong before we make a ass out of me, you, and everybody else. And it's a lot of product, right? So I mixed it up. I did not put B and C into the pot. It's just that part A and the toner, and I mixed it up. It never would mix up completely. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, once I put B and C together, maybe B and C combined together, you got A, B, and C, you got 3 parts of chemicals together. Once they go together, maybe they will mesh together and make it melt out. But I didn't want to pour B and C into A because you only have a certain amount of time to spray it. So I had to wait until Corey got to the shop or got to the office out west so I could call and say, "Hey, this is what I got going on. This is what's happening. Did I make a mistake? Is this shit gone crazy? What in the world?" So when I get Corey on the phone, and that's Corey with a K, not with a C, Corey says, "I don't remember telling you to do it that way." And I said, "Well, you said it was similar to Raptor and quartz and stuff. And the way I do my quartz is I get the quartz. If it's tenable, I shake it up on the shaker with no hardener. I open it up. I put 10 ounces of color in it. I put the lid on it. I shake it for another 5 minutes so everybody's mixed up. Then I put 8 ounces of hardener in it. I shake it for 1 minute and then I go in there and I spray it." He said, "Yeah, I remember you saying that." And I said, "That's how I do it. That's how I do everything." He's like, "I'm going to be honest with you. We've never poured the toner into part A. So I can't tell you if that's what it does or it was what it, I cannot tell you if that's what it does or it does not do. It's a new one on us." So I had sent him a video and he's like, "I don't know. I see what you're saying. It looks stringy. It looks like melted low fat mozzarella cheese." So he's like, "I don't know." He said, "When you mix the next batch, don't mix the next batch like that. Mix up A and B, shake them up, pour A and B, or excuse me, mix up B and C together, the black solution and the white solution, mix them up really, really good, pour them into A, immediately pour your paint into that and agitate it for 30 seconds. Don't over agitate it. Don't overwork the product and then go spray it." I said, "Okay, I'll try it." All right. So now I said, "Well, what happens if it does not lay down the way I want it to lay down and it still looks like cottage cheese? How in the world am I going to fix this?" He says, "That's not a problem. You can fix it. This is how we would fix it. Go ahead and spray what you have. If it doesn't look like the way you want it to look like, you can top coat XO2 system very easily. It doesn't matter if it's 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, or 3 years. It doesn't matter. you just mix up some lacquer thinner and you go in there. And I said, hold up. So you do it the same way you do Raptor, Quartz, Sims, Rocket. You reopen it up because that goes back to what I was telling you guys before. You got thermoset and thermoplastic materials. You got the difference between thermoset and thermoplastic. Y'all remember when we talked about that? One you can reopen up, the other one you cannot. He says, I'm not familiar with those words, but I guess that's what that is. I said, no, that's the chemical makeup of it. That's why you can reopen it up. He's like, yeah, you spray lacquer thinner on it. You let it open up for about 15, 20, 30 minutes until it's completely dry. All the lacquer thinner is completely gone. That opens the pores back up. Spray adhesive promoter back over it to give it that chemical, mechanical, and chemical bite, because the AP acts as a heat inhibitor. And then when it hits it, the heat transfer makes it melt into itself. So you have a mechanical and a chemical bite. See, let's pause there for a second. Let's take a breath. That's why I try to explain to everybody, it's not just picking up a damn can and painting something. It's not like that with anything. People get on YouTube and talk about all this shit out the side of their neck, and they couldn't whoop their ass out of a wet sack if you tore a hole in the bottom of it. They cannot figure out what's going on, what's wrong, how to fix it. They can't do it. They just regurgitate what somebody else says, and they cannot have an intellectual conversation with you about what's going on. They just regurgitating what they heard. Now, I'm not saying that I'm an arrogant asshole. My wife thinks so, but but I'm very passionate about what I do. So I ask questions and I try to remember everything and I write it down. And after I do it repetitiously, that's why I told y'all guys the other day, know your products, know what you're spraying, whatever you're doing in life, know what you're doing and be the best at it and learn everything you can learn so you know what happens when something comes up. Anybody can paint a car. What makes a good person, a good painter? A monkey can paint a car. A good painter can fix the problem. That's what makes a good painter. So I said, okay, great. So now if it's a total clusterfuck, we can go back and fix it. We just have to re-top coat it. He said, yes. I said, okay, because see, I don't have time. I would rather spray it not look the way I want it to look. I'd rather spray it not look the way I want it to look. Let it lay down, spray lacquer thinner over it to open it back up, put adhesive promoter on it, and then respray it again to fix the problem. There is no way that I want to go in there and re-sand that whole box. No way. That would just give it more sound deadening and more material for heat transfer and all that. So what I did is I took a measuring cup, right? And I took and put 1 ounce of the part A that had the toner into a mixing cup. I put 1 ounce. Then I took 1 ounce of part B, which was the black, and 1 part of C, which is the white, and I poured it all together. Now, this is not 100% hypothesis because the XO2 system is a 2-to-1 mix. So when you put part B and part C into part A, that's 2-to-1. But it still let me do a little bit of trial and error in physics to see what would happen. I did a short video on it and I posted it. I stirred it up really, really good. I put the paddle bit on it. Mike seen me spray the LMR. The LMR is the release agent that I sprayed on my paddle bit. I should have had a mask on because that shit was rough as hell. It probably screwed my lungs up. Probably did because it took my breath away. So I took that paddle bit and I stuck it in that mixing cup and I mixed it. I kept mixing it. The whole time you see me on that video, I was mixing it. and it melted all in. So everybody joined everybody and everything was good. It looked really good. Now it still had a little bit of white tint to it, which Corey told me that the white would not fully mix and you would still see a little trace of the white. But once the white dried, it's translucent and it will be clear. So don't freak out about it. So with that being said, I shook up part B, which is the black, and part C, which is the white. I shook it up really, really good, and I dumped it into part A with the toner that I put the toner in first. Soon as it hit, I hit my stopwatch. This is why I couldn't be live. I hit my stopwatch, turned the paddle bit on high on the drill, wide open, second gear, full throttle, and I mixed it for 30 seconds on the dot. Just kept whipping it up like I was making daggone mashed potatoes. Mix it up for 30 seconds. After I mix it up for 30 seconds, then I put it in the hopper. Before I put anything in the hopper and before I put A and B and C together, I took the gun apart and I sprayed it all with LMR, the release agent in the paint gun with the hopper. Then I mixed everything up, stirred it up really, really good, poured half of it in the hopper, and I go in there and I start spraying. The gun came with 3 tips. It had the tip that's in it and 2 more tips. Corey said, leave the tip that's in the gun. That's the gun that you want to use to spray this Bedliner. The other 2 tips are for different products. Like if I wanted to put sand into it, if I wanted to mix that sand abrasive to it where I could spray it, that's what the other 2 is. And then they also have a rubberized system that you spray on top of RVs and campers and trailers and stuff like that. That's what the other nozzle's for. So Corey said that he can spray the product anywhere from 30 to 60 PSI to get the texture he wants. And then he says on his last coat, his control coat, he bumps the pressure up to 70 PSI and steps back and does a control coat to get that nice Line X pattern that he likes. Now, he is referring to truck beds where you can actually stand up here and you got all this head space, all this arm room, you got all that mess. In that box, you don't have all that space. You can't go up but so high because the pot hits the roof. You really restricted on how far you can go. Now you can come off the panel as far as you want to come, but you can't go up or go down. You can't turn the gun sideways because then all your product runs. It's very challenging. All right. So when I started, oh yeah, and on the gun, you run the needle all the way in until it bottoms out, and then you run it all the way out until you see the needle move. And then Corey said that's where he locked his down at. I said, well, that's similar how we do it. I run it all the way in. I run it all the way out. I pull the trigger full throttle. I run it all the way in until I feel the trigger bump. When I feel the trigger bump, then I turn it 2.5 rounds in, and then that's where it's at. That's how we taught them how to set their paint guns up at school. So that's not full throttle. So when I said, he asked me, he said, how are you spraying it? I said, full throttle. And he's like, oh Lord, no, you letting too much product out. And I'm like, no, when I say full throttle, I'm pulling full throttle on the trigger. It's not full throttle on the fluid tip. The fluid tip is restricted a little bit. So different terminology for different people, right? So when I started spraying it, so when I started spraying it, I didn't like the way it looked. Now I had it set, I'll catch up with you in a second, Gary. I had it set at 60 PSI, right? I had it set at 60 PSI, right? When I spray Raptor and Quartz and Sims, I usually spray them anywhere from 60 to 80 PSI, 60 to 70. And then on my last control coat, I back off the panel about 18 to 24 inches. And then I run the pressure up about 75, 85 PSI. And then I give a light dusting to give that nice textured look. Y'all remember when we done the inner fenders for the Impala and for the 68C10. So with that being said, I put a regulator on the gun, which I told y'all I don't like regulators on them, but the gun constantly blows air. So it's constantly blowing air out the nozzle. So I had a regulator on it. So when I got done to see what I was doing, I could turn the air off, and then I could turn the air back on. The regulator that I was using was a Luma regulator that comes with the Exodus paint guns. That's what I was using. Now it maxes out at 100 psi. I believe 100 psi. So I have my air pressure on the wall is set at about 110, 115 degrees. Right? With that being said, so I kept manipulating the air pressure to get the product to lay the way I want it to lay, right? So I kept running the air pressure up, and it took me about a quarter of a gallon, because that's all I put in the hopper. It took about a quarter of a gallon to get the texture that I liked. When I looked down at the regulator to see what the pressure was, I was at 125 psi. Now, Corey tells me that something must have been wrong because he says that he can spray the product at 30 to 60 psi and not have any issues. I didn't have any issues. The only issue that I had, it really wasn't an issue, is it was blowing chunks out. And when I mean chunks, it looked like raisins, right? The size of a raisin, right? California raisin in the little boxes. That's what it looked like. Every now and then it would throw a chunk, just poof. And I kept turning the pressure up to atomize the material until I got it to lay where I would want it to lay. Like I said, it was about 125 psi. So with that being said, I was like, okay. So I come out, I put another quarter gallon in there, and I went back in there and I started spraying it again. Right. So right at 100 psi is where the happy spot was, right? Where it was 89 degrees today. So that's where the happy spot was at, right? About 100 psi is the happy spot. Now, after I got the first gallon sprayed, this stuff is sticky. I mean, sticky, 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 sticky. So the plastic that was on the floor in the box truck. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to go show y'all what everything looks like. The plastic in the box truck was so sticky, it was sticking to my feet, and eventually it tore the plastic. So I got a little bit of overspray on the floor, but it ain't no big deal. I can go in there and trim it out with gloss black, and it's no fine. If he decides to put carpet down, it really ain't gonna make no difference anyway. But nevertheless, I can fix it. I can trim it out. No worries, no fuss. So when I got to the last gallon, I pretty much got it figured out. What's up, Stain? I pretty much got it figured out where I was on my air pressure. So after immediately I was done, I took the gun, I turned the gun upside down. I actually set it outside. And once it dries, I should be able to peel out all of that bedliner material out like a fruit roll up. I immediately called Gary, or not Gary. I immediately called Corey. When I called Corey, I told him, I'm going to say, hey, man, he said, how did you like it? I said, it was different. It was different. And then me and him talked about some stuff in private, which I told him I wouldn't share because it's just bad business. It's just bad etiquette, and it's just disrespectful. And he says, understandable, understandable. And then me and him got together, and we had to get our verbiage right, right? Our language. That's what I was telling you earlier in this video. We had to get our language right. I was saying something. He was saying something. He misinterpreted what I was saying. He misinterpreted what I was saying. So then we had to come together, and I say, okay, look, 5 plus 4 is 9. 5 plus 4 is 9. 10 minus 1 is 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. You get the idea. I said, we have to get on the same playing field on our verbiage and our language. and where we're at, right? Some people say tomato, some people say tomato. You know what I'm saying? And he said, "Got you." So once we got that established, we came to the conclusion that we maybe thought that the paint was had a little bit of binder in it that was making it knot up a little bit. Not 100% sure. Not don't know. So really can't call conclusion onto what happened and why it had the chunks. It only had a few. I picked out about 20 chunks out of the whole box. And when I was telling him it was chunky, he thought I was deferring to it chunky like blue gravel driveways. But when I did a video and I sent it to him, he called me back and he's like, "Dude, what's wrong with that?" I said, "Nothing. You see those chunks that I left in there to show you?" He's like, "Man, that looks awesome. That looks great. Man, that color looks awesome." He's like, when you said it was chunky, I was thinking like a blue gravel road, like chunky, like really, really heavy orange peel texture. He said, "That actually looks really, really good." And I said, "Yeah, I'm talking about the chunks that I was showing you." He's like, "I really don't know what that is." It could have been anything. I said, "It reminds me of epoxy. When you mix up 2K epoxy for high build, you can't strain it because it's so thick. So when you spray it through a 2.5 tip, you get these chunks that come out, which is the material that's not 100% mixed. And it really doesn't matter because you're going to block sand it anyway. But you don't want that stuff in your final primer. So that's why when it's reduced, you can strain it because you want it slick." He says, "I understand." And he says, "So would you spray it again?" I said, "Yeah, I'll spray it again." So I ordered another kit today. I got another kit coming, another 2.5 gallon kit, black, so I can do the F100. So when I do the F100, I'm going to see how that acts. Plus, I can stand back and I can spray, and I got all this space where I can move around. But other than that, uh, yeah. Other than that, would I recommend the product? Absolutely. Is it a good product? Absolutely. Did I die today in that box? Even with a mask on, I need a fresh air hood, and I ain't gonna lie to you. If somebody knows a lead on a good fresh air system, I know Miller has one for welding that's really not that bad, and it says it's good for painting. It's about $900. Um, so I'm looking at that one, and it says it's good for painting for isocyanates. But I'm telling you right now, being in that box with a fan blowing in there and the exhaust fans on and everything in there, it was rough. It was rough in there today. Um, I told my wife when I come out of there, I said, "I got a damn headache so damn bad." I said, "I hope it goes away." So I probably lost a few years of life in that box today, but I got all the color sprayed down. And then Corey said that he said, "I would let it lay until tomorrow until you touch the wall and it's tacky." And I said, "Tacky, what's your definition of tacky?" Yeah. I know what you're talking about, Stain. Uh, I wore a suit today. I wore everything today. A suit, gloves, a sock. I wore everything today. I wore a face sock. I wore it all. Um, um, I even wore glasses there for a while until I couldn't see out of them. See it. So with that being said, um, he said my definition of tacky is when you take your hand and you put your hand up on it and your hand tacks up off of it. That's tacky. I said, "Well, here's my definition of tacky. Take some scotch tape, pull some scotch tape out, take your finger and touch the scotch tape and peel it off. If your finger goes shh, shh, that's my definition of tacky." And he says, "That's my definition of tacky too." I said, "Okay, fine." So I actually went to the store, got a few things, and I come back. Like I said, it was 87 degrees today. got airflow moving. When I got back, I put my hand on the side of the bed or on the side of the wall. It was tacky. It was like, it was tacky. So I made an executive decision and I went and wiped everything down. Then I went back in the booth and I mixed up 24 ounces. I mixed up 24 ounces of AG series from Tampco single stage. So I painted the window trim, the dash, the glove box, and around the edges in single stage. Now, when I go show you this, you're going to see there's a little bit of overspray on the floor. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Once I come back and I trim it out, it'll be fine. The reason why I painted the dash, it was so it wouldn't be raw around the edges. It's because I got all the metal panels that we made a few weeks ago. All the metal panels, the bead roll panels, goes on the dash and covers everything up. So around the edges, I just needed color around the edges so everything blended together. All the body panels that we made, when I say we, me and you, we made the bead roll panels, they're all powder coated the same color because what I did is I got a color sample from the powder coater, sent that to the paint company, Tampco. Tampco made two colors. They made a color with no binder and no thinner for the XO2 system. Then they made a quart of single stage, the same color in single stage, which it mixes 4-to-1 with a hardener. And the hardener is HH7607 is the hardener. So what I did was I mixed up 24 ounces of color, 4-to-1, and I put a cap full of reducer in there just to help me out a little bit. And then I went in there, I turned the lights out in the booth, or excuse me, I turned the lights out in the shop, I went inside the box with the sunlight, and I went around everything that I looked at that I already sprayed the XO2 system and made sure I didn't have no light spots. If I had any light spots or spots that I didn't like, what I did is there were some spots that I didn't like. You could kind of see the H&R coming through just a little bit because it wasn't 100% covered the way I like it to be covered. So what I did is I just went ahead and put one medium wet coat of single stage color over the XO2 system. I just went ahead and put wet on wet, and I put one medium wet coat over everything that I sprayed with Bedliner immediately. Then I went to the front of the box and I painted everything in the front of the box. I put one medium wet coat of AG series single stage all over everything. I got out of the box. I walked outside for the fresh air. I got the fans running. I waited about 15 minutes. I went back in there and I double checked everything. Everything looked good on the XO2 system. Everything was good in colored. Everything was good in uniforms. And then I put another coat just around the window trim and just around the edges about 2 inches. I ended up putting 3 coats of color just around the edges, right? So everything would match and everything looks great. So when I go pick up all the bead roll panels and I put the bead roll panels on the dash, the little edges around the edges will be the same color and there won't be no transition. I know that's a lot of information in 53 minutes, and I know a lot of people probably won't remember that. And Gary made a comment. Gary said, Gary said, I'd be lost, but I can tell you soak up everything, and that's why you're so good at what you do. Gary, I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to remember everything that what I'm doing and I write everything down. And after I talk about it in my head over and over again, over and over, over and over and over and over. So boys and girls, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to show you what we got going on. We at the 55-minute mark. If anybody's got any questions, drop it down in the comments. I know that the camera filter will probably make this color look like it's blue. It's not blue. It's green, right? So the color is actually green. It's actually winter green is the color that I came up with, but we call it, it's got a weird name. They named it weird, but it's my color. So I'm super excited about it. Now on the outside of the truck, it will be the same color on the outside of the truck, just a little bit of a little bit dazzle in it, just a little bit, and everything will be white. So all the white will be white Arctic, no, Blizzard of Oz. So all the white will be Blizzard of Oz. So let me go and show you, boys and girls. Oh, excuse me. Let me show y'all, everybody. Um, so here we go. So, like I said, I got everything colored. You see, I just trimmed it down to right there because all this, all this will be covered up, right? So every bit of this, all that's going to be covered up. Yeah, that's everybody says Robin Egg blue or Tiffany blue. It's not. It's not. I promise you, it's not. So all this is going to be covered up. So y'all know we made all those bead roll panels, and those bead roll panels go all the way up to the edges. So you're not going to see none of this, right? You're not even see none of this. You'll see a little bit of this. So the only thing you're actually going to see, honestly, is you're going to see the window trim. You'll see this, not a lot of it because the black rubber is going to be on it. So the only other thing, yeah, seafoam. Uh, yeah, seafoam, that's a close color too. So I might come back. I might come back and sand this and actually put Bedliner over this in case somebody puts their feet on the dash. I doubt his wife will put her feet on the dash, but you don't never know. But like I said, I just trimmed everything out. I'm not really worried about the overspray like on the floor because I'll tape all this up and then I can trim this out with my little trim gun. I'm not really worried about none of this because all this will get taped up and then all this is going to get painted. So I didn't really want to waste any paper or taping up anything because once all this gets taped up, the outside gets sprayed. It's going to be the exact same color. So it really doesn't matter, honestly. And then you got all the back. Now I did leave a chunk so I can show y'all what I'm talking about. A chunk right, right there. Y'all see that right there? Y'all see what I said? Y'all see that right there? Everybody see that? Y'all see? Let me see if I can hold this light. Y'all see that? That's what I'm talking about, a chunk. See that? That's what I said when it's throwing out chunks. So there's a couple left on this. Um, there's one right there. See, there's one right there. But overall, see, there's one right there. See, every now and then there was a chunk. And I'll pick them out. What I'll do is I'll pick those out and I'll come back with the airbrush and I'll touch it up. Um, let me turn some of these lights on back here so y'all can see. So um so it no hell that didn't do no good. Those LED lights. So um it kind of looks weird with shadows and stuff. Yeah, well, now you notice because I told you. So now I'll install the ceiling. Now y'all got to understand the ceiling's going to be that polished aluminum, and then we're going to run LED lights around the top. So kind of just think of like this. There's going to be an LED light. There's going to be at the top like this. So there'll be a LED light behind a trim, low light, like 15 watts that's going to shine down. Right. So think about it like this. So think if, well, you can't do that, but just think about if there was a low light in here be shining down like this for the driver. Um, so that's that. Um, and then got everything painted. So all this on the walls is the sound deadening, the H&R. So this is supposed to be right at 120 mils on the wall. This right here is quartz bed liner. This is actually almost two kits on the bottom. Now, there'll be a seat that bolts here and goes all the way across. So that bench seat will be right here. And then there'll be a seat right here. And then there'll be the other seat right there. So we might end up putting like a rubber mat or something here. We've already figured out the steering column. We're going with electric steering. So once I put the ceiling in, we'll probably do the ceiling next. We'll let this set for a few days and let it cure out before we do anything else. But here's all the sealing pieces. Once we put all the sealing in and the plastic goes down, and then we'll peel the plastic off, and then it'll be super, super shiny. And then I got to order a roof mount AC system. I think it's like 150,000 BTUs, and it will bolt to the roof of this thing. And it's just a few bolts. So it'll be, we'll probably put it, we'll probably put the seat in, and then we'll probably figure out where we'll put that unit. And that unit will probably, it's probably going to go probably in between one of these. It'll probably go in between that one. And then on the dash, once we cover all the dash up with the bead roll stuff, the dash is getting a heater coil box that and then I think it's 125,000 BTUs, and then that will be the heat, and then the heat register will go up to the windshield for the defroster, up through the vent that was there, and then we'll put probably a vent here for the driver and the vent over there for the passenger. And then that AC system up there runs on 12 volts or 24 volts, and it's I think it's 150 or 175,000 BTUs, which will be gracious plenty for this, because all that's insulation on the wall, and then you got all the insulation on the top. Now, the floor, I don't know if he wants to put any carpet. If he puts carpet down, then that's just like some sound deadening or whatever. I might be able to talk him into putting carpet from here back and leave this maybe like some outdoor carpet. So if it did get wet, you won't have no mold or no issue like that. But we'll just go from there. And then that's pretty much it, boys and girls. Uh yeah, well, the thing about the AC system, Gary, if I put a vintage air system on here, I don't have nowhere to put it. So um found a roof system that's only, it's only like 2 foot deep, 2 foot long, like 16 inches wide, and like 5.5 inches tall. And it's electrical, and it's a self-contained unit. They use them on vans. They use them on like all kinds of stuff. So the client's actually one that found it and said, "Hey, you think this will work?" And I said, "Absolutely." So and they're not really that expensive. I will tell you this. If I was to get a vintage air system for this thing, a universal vintage air system, you're looking at about $3,000. Then I got to have a compressor. Then I got to have my AC lines. Then I got to figure out where to put it. Then I'm going to have a controller. So after it's all said and done, you'll have about $5,000 in the air conditioner system on this unit, and I still got to get AC to the back of the box. So I still would have to run duct work back there. I was looking at some rear air conditioner systems like in the Denali and Yukons and stuff like that. So when he told me about this roof mount system, and like I said, it's like 150,000, 175,000 BTUs of heat and cooling, and it has like 4 registers on the front and 4 registers on the back. I think that'd be gracious plenty for this. Like Mike says, what's he gonna do? Hang meat in this son of a gun? And then all this insulation, because this is like insulation. This is insulation. And then and then if he puts that heater box in here, well, I'll put that heater box in there, which it can hang, and then I can put, it comes with 4 registers. So 1 register can come up here and blow hot air on the windshield for defroster. And then I can take and put 1, 2, 3, and put the other 3 blowing outward to the driver and the passenger. And then you got heat in the front, and then you got that heat. Um, so yeah, that's right. So that's that on that. So that's where we're at on that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. And so all this will be the same. So this will be the same color, that winter green. This will be white, but this winter green is going to have a little bedazzle in it, just a little bit, not too much. And then this white right here is going to be, I think it's called Blizzard of Oz. Then the front bumpers, I'm going to take the front bumpers off, take them to the powder coaters. I'm gonna have them media blast them, and I'm gonna have them epoxy them in powder. So I'm gonna have them epoxy them in powder and then prime them in powder. And then when I get them back, powder coat is like plastic. So then only thing I got to do is just give it some scratch, some tooth, and then I can do all my body work over top of it, and then I can paint it. I think that'll come out a better result on that. So that's that on that. So the next big thing is to get the sealing installed and then get the stuff on the dash and then get the gauge cluster in and then order the gauges and order the wiring harness and then go from there. Once all that stuff's done, I need to take the body back off the chassis. So I'll take the bumpers off and the rear bumpers, take them to the powder coaters. Then I need to take the box off of the chassis, put the box back on its buggy that I made for it, and then I can roll it down into the booth and then sand it because there's really no body work on this thing. It's just just buzz it down, and it's probably going to wait for some warmer weather. It'll probably take me a week to paint this thing, honestly. Probably take me longer than that. But the next big thing I'm painting is this. I'm hoping to have this thing painted by the end of the month. Because we're gonna get some more warm weather. Now, let's get back onto this right here. I'm waiting on the fittings for the Impala, some AC fittings. I got some that came in and them summer guns is wrong. So I got more AC fittings coming right here. I got these. These came in and they're wrong. I don't know what the hell. So I wish there was an air conditioner place around here where I could go get these. These are wrong. So I got to send them back and get some more. No, that is a 61 Ford box truck. So with that being said, tomorrow's adventure is going to be, see that right there is high build. And I laid that out with a 2.0 tip. And y'all see how slick that is? That is 5310 from Tampco. That's high build right there. You see that right there? Y'all see that little spot right there? That is what you call a halo. So there was a dent right there in this new hood and I fixed it. But you see that right there? That is a halo that came through. So if I would have painted this, that would see sealer would save that. So that's why I tell people to use sealer. Because if I'd have sealed this and painted it, you'd have never seen that. But see, since I put high build primer on it, you see that little halo right there? Now, once I block that out, it'll go away. So I'm going to block this hood out tomorrow with 400, flip it over and sand the bottom of it. And then this will be ready to paint. And then I got the two fenders. They're already in the booth. They're sprayed in high build final primer. I need to sand those and they'll be ready to paint. So once the hood's painted and the fenders are painted, I got to paint the cowl, the vent cowl from here to the windshield, and then all the little pieces will be done. And then I can pull this into the booth and go ahead and tape it up and get sprayed. So I'm hoping at the end of the week, or not at the end of the week, the end of the month, I'm hoping the weather holds because there's a lot of moving parts on this. And I don't want to spray a lot of product on this and the temperature drop below 60 degrees at night because it's supposed to be 30 and something in the next couple of days. I can't afford for the product to drop below 30 degrees because it'd just kill the isocyanates. So next week is the K5 Blazer. So we get back on the K5 Blazer next week and we'll run that all the way out until the 21st, 22nd. And then the 22nd, we get back on the F100, getting all the QA1 suspension. Hope the rear end's done by then. And then we run that out to the end of the 28th. And then on the 29th, we get on this right here. And I'm hoping by the 29th, I can get this in the booth. And I got to put a little bit of spot primer down here on the bottom of the door. And I need to double check everything one more time and then spray the cap. This little stuff right here, I can spray this stuff in between stuff and go from there. But I got to be able to have it. I got to be able to have it where the temperature doesn't drop. So no, Mike. Actually, a subscriber sent this to me. It is a do that one. So yeah. So with that being said, I'll give you a little update on the F100. if you just tap them back in. So here's the F100. So the F100 is done. The bottom of the cab, the bottom of the bed, it's already sprayed. Everything's done on it. The chassis is done. So I painted this separate. So this goes back right here and bolt that in there. So here's the chassis. So we'll start bolting all the what's up, Julian? We'll start bolting all the QA1 stuff on that. But yeah, so that's where we're at on that. So next week will be the K5 Blazer. We'll get it where it needs to be and start putting what we need to do on that. And that's that on that, boys and girls. And oh yeah, here's one other thing I want to show you. So I made a video and I forgot to post it. So here is the back glass. I don't know if I posted it or not. Here is the back cab of another F100. So the client found this at the junkyard and he just cut the whole back out because y'all know I needed this piece right here to fix his. So he calls me and says, "Hey man, I found a good cab. Where do I need to cut it?" I said, "Just cut the cab off." And this is what he brought me. That's what he brought me right there. So that's going to be great. He said, "Try not to bust the back glass because he wanted to keep it." So I'll do my best to get it out, but I have all the metal panel. So literally I can cut everything I need on the outside and cut everything out on the inside to fix his cab. And then we'll go from there. So that's about it, boys and girls. No, I'm blessed with what I got. I don't need no more than what I got. I'm good where I'm at. Boys and girls, I appreciate every single one of you. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I appreciate everybody tapping in. Oh yeah, that thing's like a beer can, man. That thing's like a damn beer can. So boys and girls, I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all tap in. Remember what I said, boys and girls. Don't worry about the man up the road or down. Oh, let me show you one more thing. Let me show you one more thing. So all the product that I sprayed today, in the last 2 days, that's where it's from. ScorpionCoatings.com. So Scorpion truck bed liners. They also have shake and spray if you don't want to use the XO2 system. They got a lot of cool stuff. So go to www.buyscorpion.com. That's where you get it from. www.scorpioncoatings.com is just their main web page. To actually buy it, you go to www.buyscorpion.com and go check it out. They got a bunch of crazy, weird stuff, man. I mean, they got bed liner that you can put metal flake in. They can sell window film. They sell all kinds of stuff. So go check them out. I greatly appreciate it, boys and girls. I don't get no commission or no kickback or nothing like that. It's just a good product. I really like it because I was using quartz and I can't get it no more. So somebody made a comment, said, "Why don't you just stick what you use?" I would, but every time I try to order quartz, it's always out of stock. So if it continues to be out of stock, then it's not doing me no damn good. So I was told about this stuff right here, the Scorpion undercoating. Actually, Metal Art Custom, he uses as well. So that's what we've been using the last couple of days right here, boys and girls. So it's not cheap, but then again, you just get what you pay for. Remember I said, boys and girls, yeah, they sell undercoating. Yeah, they sell it all, man. Go over there and check it out. Remember what I said, boys and girls, don't worry about the man up the road or down the road. Sweep it off your own front porch. Or sweep it off anybody else's. Put God